My child, pause and give me your full attention, because you have now matured enough to receive what your strength and understanding could not carry before. These words are not coming to you while you are still standing at the beginning of the journey, unsure of who you are and easily led by every voice around you. They are coming after seasons that tested you to your limits, after moments when you believed you no longer possessed the courage to continue, yet quietly rose again. You passed through fires no one saw, endured battles you could not explain, and preserved faith even when your circumstances repeatedly told you to let go. Therefore, set down for a moment everything that is scattering your thoughts. Do not receive this moment in haste, because this is the time for you to look back upon your entire journey with new eyes and recognize that what once appeared to be delay was actually a profound work of preparation. I know there are things you have longed to understand for a very long time. You asked why certain doors remained closed even though you approached them with complete sincerity. You wondered why your prayers seemed to fall into silence and why the answer did not come when you believed you needed it most. At times, you thought you had been forgotten, that the silence meant I had moved away or no longer cared about what you were enduring. But, beloved child, I never stopped seeing you. There are truths that would have overwhelmed you if they had been revealed while you were still too young within. There are responsibilities that would have become burdens rather than blessings if they had been placed in your hands too early. This was not because you lacked value, but because something precious always requires a vessel strong enough to preserve it. I was not withholding goodness from you. I was deepening you so that you would not lose it when it appeared. You had to grow through ways you never would have chosen. Some lessons arrived gently, but others entered your life through breaking. You learned what it felt like to give your trust and then be betrayed, to build something with all your hope and then watch it fall apart. You passed through nights when tears soaked your pillow. Yet, the next morning you still had to rise and fulfill your responsibilities as though nothing had happened. You longed for someone to see through your calm appearance and ask whether you were truly all right. Yet many times, you could only hold yourself in silence. It was in those places that maturity was formed. You learned not to allow pain to make you bitter. You learned to continue living with kindness, even when kindness was not always returned. You learned that strength does not mean never crying, but refusing to let your tears make you forget that light still remains ahead. I did not rejoice in your suffering, but I did not allow your wounds to become meaningless. Through them, you began to understand that not everyone who enters your life should be given permission to remain. You learned that forgiveness does not require you to return to the place that exhausted you. You realized that love does not demand that you sacrifice all your peace to preserve a relationship that continually destroys you. What you once understood only through words has now become discernment, carved deeply through experience. This is why you can now carry greater responsibility without being easily blinded by praise or losing direction because of criticism. You have learned that your value is not created by the approval of a crowd. Remember Joseph, who saw a great future while still young, but could not immediately enter it. The dream came first. While maturity was formed through years, no one could shorten on his behalf. He was betrayed by those closest to him, pushed down into low places, and forced to live through seasons when there seemed to be no sign of what had been promised. Yet every stage quietly taught him something necessary. Being despised taught him humility. Limitation taught him management. Injustice taught him to preserve integrity when no one defended him. The years of being forgotten matured him so that when authority was finally placed in his hands, He did not use it for revenge, but to preserve life. It is the same with you. What I am preparing does not require only your talent. It requires a softened heart, a discerning mind, and a person no longer controlled by the past. You asked me to change your circumstances, but I saw that you first needed to be renewed from within. If I had taken you into a new place while you still carried the same fears, you would have rebuilt the very prison you had just escaped. If I had given you a healthy relationship while you still believed you were unworthy of love, you would have distrusted that love and unknowingly pushed it away. If I had opened a great opportunity before you learned how to say no, you would have allowed the demands of others to consume the strength needed for your purpose. Therefore, I began a work deeper than changing what surrounded you. I have been changing the way you see, react, and choose. This may have taken longer than you desired, but it has been forming a freedom no outward circumstance could ever give. You are no longer the person you were in former days. You have learned how to recognize a beautiful promise that is not supported by action. You understand that peace does not need to be loud in order to be real. You know how to pause before reacting from a wound, how to leave an argument that no longer produces anything good, and how to remain silent when words would only spread more pain. You have begun to value what is lasting over what is dazzling. You no longer seek acceptance at any cost. Others may not see these changes, but they are clear evidence that the work of preparation has borne fruit. What is about to be entrusted to you will require you to preserve what you have learned. It may be a new door, greater responsibility, a voice carrying influence, or an important relationship. When it appears, do not immediately diminish yourself because you remember former failures. Yet do not allow excitement to make you impulsive either. Observe, pray, verify, and listen for peace. The right opportunity will not force you to exchange integrity. The right relationship will not continually require you to betray your boundaries. The right path may be difficult, but it will not require you to become false in order to enter it. Your maturity will be shown not only by your willingness to move forward, but also by your ability to recognize what must be refused. I want you to understand that new strength will not make you cold. On the contrary, it will enable you to remain gentle without being easily exploited, generous without emptying yourself, and humble without diminishing your value. You do not need to prove that you have overcome by returning to confront those who hurt you. Let your rebuilt life become the answer. Use the wisdom you have received to protect peace, compassion to strengthen the weary, and your voice to bring clarity instead of increasing fear. What I entrust to you is not a crown intended to place you above others. It is a responsibility that requires you to serve with a purer heart. My child, you can now receive this truth without being crushed by it. You have been prepared for a new season. And every year that appeared delayed helped form you into someone capable of entering it with stability. I was not waiting for circumstances to become perfect. I was waiting until circumstances no longer defined you. I was waiting until rejection could no longer cause you to deny your value, until success could no longer make you forget humility, and until the past no longer possessed the power to pull you back toward former roads. That moment is here. Therefore, lift your head and stop seeing yourself through the image of your weakest days. You were strengthened each time you rose, awakened through every painful truth, and healed through every healthy choice you continued to make. Move forward without needing to know the entire road. I will provide enough light for the present step. Keep your heart soft, your eyes clear, and your hands ready. You did not pass through fire merely to live forever among ashes. You were refined to carry light, renewed to bear responsibility, and prepared to receive what is new without losing yourself again. This is not the time to turn back. This is the time to rise, move forward, and live as someone who has truly been transformed. Now listen with all the stillness within your heart, because what I want to tell you will not only help you understand what has passed, but will also prepare you for an entirely different season of life, gradually opening before you. Certain doors once seemed so firmly closed that you thought they would never move. But when the proper time arrives, no hand will be able to keep them shut. You will enter spaces where you once stood outside and watched. People who previously failed to recognize your value will begin to see the clarity, depth, and peace you carry. Yet do not see this as an opportunity to prove them wrong or repay former wounds. Enter the new season with humility, because what is given to you is not intended to raise you above others, but to enable you to serve with a more mature heart. The right opportunities will begin to find you when you stop exhausting yourself by chasing every door. In the past, you tried very hard to be seen, recognized, and given a position worthy of you. You knocked upon doors that were never meant for you, explained your value to people who had already chosen not to listen, and tried to preserve relationships that did nothing but take from you. That season is closing. You will learn that not everything requiring you to fight until exhaustion belongs to you. Some right doors will open in peace. Certain healthy relationships will not require you continually to prove that you deserve to be present. Some opportunities will come because your ability, faithfulness, and depth have been refined quietly for long enough to be recognized. I am replacing connections that drained you with relationships that know how to support, respect, and move with you toward what is good. You once confused intensity with love, continual rescuing with closeness, and anxiety with depth of connection. From now on, you will recognize that healthy love does not require you to diminish yourself, continually test your loyalty, or use silence as punishment. The right people will not approach you only when they need something. They will know how to remain, listen, share responsibility, and respect the boundaries you establish. Perhaps the number of people surrounding you will become smaller, but the peace within those relationships will become deeper. You will no longer feel lonely while standing in a crowded room, because new connections will be built upon sincerity rather than dependence. Your purpose will also become clearer in a way that no longer leaves you continually doubting. This clarity may not come as a complete map laid out before you, but step by step through the things that make you feel alive, the needs to which you are especially sensitive, and the gifts you use naturally. You will begin to recognize themes repeatedly appearing throughout your journey. Matters you continually feel called to address, heal, or build. What once caused you to feel different will become a clue. The pain you overcame will help you recognize those who remain trapped where you once stood. Experiences you once considered useless will become a language through which you reach hearts ordinary words cannot touch. Purpose does not necessarily require a great stage. Often, it is the way you remain faithful within your family, work, and community through all the discernment formed within you. The gifts within you will become sharper, But with this will come the responsibility to remain awake. You may perceive people and circumstances more clearly. Recognize what produces peace and what merely creates noise. You will know when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when silence is wiser. Do not turn sensitivity into a reason for judging others. And do not treat every strong emotion as guidance. What is genuine must always be accompanied by humility, compassion, and good fruit. As the gift within you matures, it will not make you proud or isolated. It will teach you to love with greater wisdom, protect peace, and resist being led by outward glamour. Your peace will no longer remain as fragile as before. It will not depend entirely upon whether others treat you well or whether every plan unfolds according to your wishes. You will be able to stand amid change while preserving inner stability. This is not because you know every outcome in advance, but because you no longer entrust your security to things that continually change. Difficult days will still come, but they will no longer have enough power to drag you back into your former state of panic. Rejection will still occur, but you will no longer use it to conclude that you possess no value. Delays will still arise, but you will no longer hastily assume that you have been forgotten. Peace will become a place you know how to return to through prayer, rest, wise choices, and distance from voices that continually plant fear. You will begin to see what was delayed becoming released. But remember that release does not always arrive in the form you once imagined. Some things open through the appearance of a new opportunity, while others are released when you finally become courageous enough to leave a path that no longer fits. Some breakthroughs arrive through unexpected resources, while others appear when you receive enough wisdom to manage what you already possess. One door may open through an invitation, while another opens through a decision you must make yourself. Do not wait for everything to happen without your participation. Grace does not erase responsibility. It enables you to act without being ruled by fear. The next change may arrive more quickly than you expect. A conversation, an idea, an offer, or a seemingly small decision may redirect an entire stage of your journey. Therefore, prepare through faithfulness today. Complete what remains unfinished. Learn what must be learned. Correct the habits weakening you, and keep your word in matters no one seems to notice. You cannot demand a great door while neglecting the small responsibilities already before you. The new season requires a more mature version of you, one who not only knows how to receive, but also how to preserve. Not only how to dream, but also how to build. What comes quickly becomes a lasting blessing only when you possess a foundation strong enough to support it. You were never forgotten during the years when nothing seemed to move. Neither were you rejected merely because certain doors did not open. Often, you were being repositioned, separated from places that no longer nourished you, and prepared in stillness before being brought into the light. The times when you felt hidden taught you to live without depending upon applause. Seasons of loneliness forced you to hear your inner voice again. Changes in plans taught you to release control and recognize directions you would never previously have considered. Now, as clarity appears, you will understand that many delays were not rejection, but preparation designed to keep you from losing yourself when what you awaited finally arrived. If you feel warmth, relief, or a quiet hope awakening, do not quickly turn it into passing excitement. Allow it to become a commitment to live differently. You may say within your heart that you are ready for what is being revealed, But genuine readiness will be shown through leaving old habits, preserving boundaries, learning to receive help, and remaining faithful to what is right. Heaven does not require a number or public action in order to know your heart. What matters is the choice you make when no one is watching. Declare through your life that you no longer belong to delay, fear, or relationships that cause you to lose direction. When a message brings you light, you may share it sincerely so that another person may also be strengthened. When you feel gratitude for good work, you may support it within your means and through a free heart. But never believe that blessing can be purchased through giving or that mercy depends upon a material gift. Sincere support is not a price paid to receive something good. It is simply a way of participating in the spread of hope when you genuinely desire to do so. The Father looks at motive, not amount. Therefore, give in peace, share with discernment, and do not allow any appeal to place guilt or pressure upon you. Beloved child, this is not the end of your journey, but the moment when you begin to see what has quietly been formed. The former season gave you necessary lessons. Now you do not need to remain there to prove that you have suffered enough. Enter clarity with humility, opportunity with preparation, and new relationships with wisdom. I am leading you out of a life that continually begged to be recognized and into a place where your value becomes visible through peace, faithfulness, and the way you serve. What was hidden will gradually be revealed, not to make you proud, but to help you understand that every quiet season can carry purpose. Keep your eyes forward, because what is beginning is not merely a change in circumstances. It is the emergence of someone ready to live more truthfully, deeply, and fully than ever before. You have always felt different because, from an early age, you perceived life with a sensitivity not everyone carries. When others heard only words, you often noticed the hesitation behind them. While a room remained full of laughter, you could sense tension quietly moving through every glance. You recognized when someone was hurting even though they appeared calm. Sensed a relationship changing before those involved were willing to admit it. And many times, an inner impression caused you to pause before a choice that seemed completely safe. This does not mean that every feeling you have is a certain prophecy, but it does reveal that you possess a profound ability to observe, empathize, and perceive. I do not want you to deny this gift, but neither do I want you to turn it into fear that causes you to mistrust everyone. Sensitivity becomes useful only when held within peace, tested by truth, and guided by compassion. From childhood, you became accustomed to seeing what others overlooked. You noticed changes in an adult's voice when they were hiding sadness, sensed instability within the home even when no one explained it, and learned to observe quickly so that you would know whether to draw near or maintain distance. Perhaps these experiences trained you to read an atmosphere, anticipate reactions, and recognize the emotional condition of those around you. This ability once helped you survive uncertain circumstances, but it also sometimes caused you to remain continually alert, as though it were your responsibility to discover every danger before it arrived. Beloved child, I want you to preserve discernment while releasing the burden of having to control everything. You can notice that something is wrong without immediately assuming the worst. You can listen to intuition while still allowing time to observe. Ask questions and discern before acting. The battles you endured deepened this sensitivity. You supported others while you were also tired. Remained calm within situations where no one recognized that you were afraid, and became a shelter for people who repeatedly came to you whenever their lives became chaotic. This is why your burdens often seemed heavier, not because you were weak, but because you rarely carried only your own emotions. You listened to one story and held it within you for many days. You saw someone suffering and wondered what more you could do to save them. You passed through a brief conversation, but continued feeling its echo long afterward. This empathy is beautiful. Yet you must learn that understanding another person's pain does not mean turning that pain into your responsibility. I placed within you the spirit of a guardian. But a wise guardian does not remain awake every night until collapse. They know when to observe, when to speak, and when to entrust what remains to one who is higher. You are not called to rescue everyone from every consequence, nor must you become a shield that receives every arrow intended for others. Your calm presence may help someone feel safer. A gentle warning from you may cause another person to reconsider. An honest conversation may prevent an unwise decision. But after you have done your part with love and responsibility, you must allow others to make their own choices. If you continue trying to carry everyone's outcome, your sensitivity will become exhaustion, and compassion will eventually be covered by resentment. Sometimes an unexpected sadness passes through you without an obvious cause, or uneasiness arises even though outward circumstances appear calm. Do not immediately conclude that every such feeling comes from an invisible battle or from someone directing harm toward you. The body and mind can store tension longer than you realize. A memory, a sound, a night without enough sleep, or prolonged pressure can cause emotion to rise without warning. When this happens, pause, breathe slowly, and ask yourself simple questions. Am I tired? Did something just awaken an old wound? Have I eaten, rested, and cared for myself adequately? If the feeling continues or disrupts your life, speaking with someone trustworthy or with a qualified professional is an act of wisdom, not evidence of insufficient faith. Your ability to recognize the intentions of others must also remain grounded in humility. There have been times when you accurately sensed that someone was insincere, but there have also been moments when former wounds caused you to interpret silence as rejection, difference as a threat, or another person's awkwardness as evidence they wanted to hurt you. Mature discernment does not ask only, "What do I feel?" It also asks, "What does the evidence reveal?" Observe consistency between words and actions. Notice whether the person respects boundaries, accepts responsibility when wrong, and produces healthy results. Do not rely only upon a temporary feeling, but neither should you force yourself to ignore clear signs. I want you to possess both a tender heart and clear eyes, neither naive nor suspicious. Many times, you stood beside those who were vulnerable and brought stability simply through the way you were present. Sometimes you spoke no grand words, but remained, listened, and did not turn away. Sometimes you sensed that someone was losing direction and reached out before they asked for help. At times, your calmness prevented an entire family from reacting in anger. This is how your strength is expressed, not through control or declarations that frighten others, but through the ability to carry peace into disorder. You may intercede through quiet prayers, protect through proper boundaries, and watch through loving attentiveness. Yet you do not need to believe that you alone are preventing every disaster. Humility will preserve your gift from becoming pressure or the belief that you are responsible for everyone's destiny. The days when you cannot support yourself do not erase the strength formed within you. On the contrary, knowing when you need help is also part of strength. You once believed that a protector must always remain alert, that a leader must never cry, and that someone considered stable must rise without depending upon anyone. But I did not create you to live alone. A warrior knows when to lower their weapon, so a wound may be treated. A guardian knows how to hand the watch to another person so they can rest. Someone who strengthens others also needs a place where they can be strengthened. Allow kind people to enter. Do not hide every exhaustion because you fear disappointing them. You do not lose value by saying that you are not all right. You protect that value through honesty. From now on, learn to distinguish between what you are invited to perceive and what you do not need to carry. When you enter a heavy environment, you may acknowledge the feeling without allowing it to settle within you. When you hear a painful story, you can show compassion without bringing the entire burden home. At the end of each day, create a quiet space to return what does not belong to your responsibility. Breathe deeply. Pray. Write your thoughts. Walk or rest in stillness. Allow your nervous system to understand that danger has passed and that you do not need to remain alert when you are safe. Caring for inner peace does not weaken your gift. It makes your perception clearer. My child, what makes you different is not that you know everything in advance or never make mistakes. You are different because you endured much while preserving your ability to feel. Refuse to turn away from the pain of others, and continued choosing protection instead of harm. Honor that depth, but do not allow it to become a cage. You do not need to spend your entire life standing guard. You are also permitted to rejoice. Live lightly, and enter a room without immediately reading every expression. I want your gift to serve love, not fear. When sensitivity is placed beneath peace, you will know when to move forward, when to step back, what needs to be spoken, and what should be allowed to reveal itself with time. You are not broken by what you endured. You are learning to transform every lesson into wisdom so that you may become a protector without destroying yourself. Someone who strengthens others while still knowing how to rest, and a light gentle enough to illuminate the road without burning out the lamp that carries it.